Not that you don't like my other videos, but this one may be a little bit less on the kayak, but it still has a little bit of this and a little bit of other stuff. As I was doing a lot of hiking, weather was important, but not mandatory to know. Like if it rained, you just put a jacket on, and if it snowed, you just put something warmer, and that was about it. It was important to know a little bit what was going to happen. You were just looking before you leave. But as kayaking, I'm starting to discover how really not just like, oh, it's gonna be nice for the next few days or rain, because hours to hours sometimes change. And especially I'm working right now on a video of a trip that I just did, and just in a matter of hours the condition for the water just changed because the wind just changed. So reading signs are really important. And today I was just doing some errands, and I encountered something interesting that I thought that I may share with you. And it's a little bit of a trick that I've learned from reading about marine weather. I'll put a link on a PDF that is pretty nice. It's for marine, but it's very well explained, and I think it does apply even if you're not on the water, for the concept of weather, and they really explain it very well. So for any preparedness or anything, you can still read those things pretty good. And also I'll put a link to a website that I use now called Windies, which is very interesting. It has winds and temperature maps. You can really mobilize, move on it. You can use it on different platforms, or either on your laptop or your mobile device. So it's very interesting. So I'll put a link on that. So now on to the video. So the video that you're going to see now is me at a corner of a street. And we'll go through this video right now. The video that you're seeing right now, what it shows is me at a corner of a street turning around and showing different angles of 3 different systems. That's very fascinating because I can see all 3 different at a corner of a street. And the trick that I'm going to be explaining become relevant for this. So from one end you can see it's blue sky, it's beautiful, it looks nice, it's very warm and everything. On the other side, a little bit of gray cloud, but doesn't seem to be too worrisome. And then on the other side, you don't really see anything, but you feel wind. And what you cannot see because of the building is the cloud looked a little bit more high, but they're white. So people would be like, it's not too bad. But actually, that's more the concern than the other gray, and we'll explain why. Is that rain is not just rain. There's different type of rain. There's different way of forming rains. And again, I'm not an expert on this. I'm learning all those right now. But it appears to me, so here we see 2 type of rain. And those are called orographic and frontal rain. So the orographic rain is what you're seeing when where the gray is, and what that is basically where we're facing. That is where we're facing the sea. And so as the sea comes in and goes up the mountains, it cools off the rain, and so basically droplets, now that warm air that or that humidity can now become droplets of rain. And so this is why the clouds are gray at the bottom and a little bit more white on the top, and they're a little bit more shallow. They're not like those big set of clouds. They're more normal clouds. And so this is why they're on the top of those mountains, because the sea goes up, humidify, and so there's a lot of rain that can fall on those mountains. Actually, here there's like ski hills there, because there's a lot of snow that can fall there compared to what we have here. And even in place like on Vancouver Island, there's a place on the island that they get tons, so they're on the same island, but they get tons of rain on one side, and on the other side it's dry. And why? Is because the humidity from the ocean reach the mountains, drops on this side of the mountain, but by the time it gets on the other side, all the humidity is gone, and so basically there's not as much rain. And so that's called orographic rain, and you see the word there. And then I have a video that explained that concept down below. The other one is the frontal rain, and this is the one I'm a little bit was talking about, the white clouds. And it's basically now, because the blue sky, it's a high front, and so the everything is high. So that means like the pressure is high, so the air cannot rise because it's pushed down by the pressure. But if there's a low, and low is usually associated with bad weather, if a low comes, then air can kind of goes up. And when it goes up, it means that because the temperature obviously higher up, the atmosphere is cooler, the humidity now can forms rain. And so what we're seeing with those white clouds that are kind of rising up is like you see out here on the pictures, is that it's rising up, creating those big tower, and those are frontal rain. So that means the other little cloud, orographic rain, will fall like maybe like for an hour or two, will drop the humidity that they have accumulated, and it won't be so much. So it's going to be like a little rain, and that's it. And so that could be like it could rain literally just downtown, but not rain otherwhere, because it's rare where the cloud is and it falls the rain. The frontal one, it's a little bit worse. So because all this column there contains a lot of humidity and a lot of water, that means there's more rains that can happen, and it may last longer depending of how big their front and everything. And those ones, this is where that trick I was going to explain comes in handy, because one of the ways of noticing those is with the change in the wind direction and the strength of the wind. And I'll show another video, and you won't hear me much because there was a lot of wind, but I'll explain the concept, and then we'll explain how it works. So here's the video. The trick that I wanted to talk about, as you can see from the bottom here, the wind is coming this way. It is pretty strong. If I just step a little bit behind this building there, it seems to stop a little bit, not much, but still pretty present. So the trick is put your back to wind, which I have right now, and then you extend your arm, and this will present where the cell is, and I'll show you a picture of what I'm explaining. But basically the trick is as simple as this, is that you stand where the wind is to your back, and you extend your arm. And right now the arm is facing wind in the back of your and you can hear the wind was pretty high. And so this is what I was explaining, is that there's a front that's coming, and wind always go from high to low. And because there's so bigger the difference between the high and the low, bigger the winds, stronger the winds will be. And so because the high is here and the low is there, the wind will go this way. In the North America, the wind on the high goes clockwise, and wind in the lows goes counterclockwise. So basically, I'll try to do this. So basically a low would run like this, and a high would kind of run like this. And what happens is that the winds, when they converge, that's what you feel like this. And so now, because the winds are shifting, you can tell which way they're moving, because there's a low moving, and so basically they're going counterclockwise. And this is called the Buoys-Ballot law. And what it is that if you put your back to the wind and you extend your left arm, the low cell, so the center of the low, is on your left side. Anywhere you're going to be, because because it's going counterclockwise. So if I'm here and I put my back, it's going to be on my left side. If I'm somewhere else and I turn, it's going to be always on my left side. With the beauty with this, with the left side arm, is that you can tell where the storm is moving in. And so, for example, if I would be hiking in this one, or I would try to avoid, I would go the opposite. If I'm kayaking, I'll stay away from there, because now that means this is coming my way, and so I want to go somewhere else. And so in this concept, you could tell. And I'll put a link to explain that concept below as well. So this is what the trick is. So basically, when I was walking today, I realized, so it's beautiful, it's blue, sunshine, everybody's in shorts because it's warm, and there doesn't seem to be any imminent thing going on. But just noticing that the wind was stronger, that the trees were moving, that means that to make it move, that means that the wind is stronger. And that when I put my back on it, I put my left arm and I can see that there's a high rising cloud. That means something was going on. So is the mountain RN full of it? Here's a picture of the weather coming this afternoon. So I took that on my phone right where I was, because that's how I confirm things. And yep, they're announcing a storm coming in for this morning, for this afternoon, sorry. And that was in the morning, so it was around 11 o'clock, and there is 60% chance of shower. And basically it's moving, and tomorrow is going to be nice. And so basically it's one of those clouds, really rapid, dump a lot of rain, and then it'll move on, and then we'll have a high after that. But because it's just this change of what they call convergence, and so basically just between the change in the weather and the winds, it's rising, the humidity drops, and once that humidity is dropped, then there's not much air moving, and so it's not sustained. Anyway, I wanted to do a quick video. Hopefully you interesting. If you have any questions or anything, look below, and then I encourage you to read on and watch those videos that I'll put down the links to understand a little bit more of those concepts. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.